Alrighty, let's get this party started. Appreciate everybody for being here. So, my good news for today is that my little man is sleeping through the night, or at least trying to. And I know that's not like world changing good news. It is good news in my world because if he can connect sleep cycles, I can connect thought cycles because I'm getting sleep. So, that's pretty much all I have as far as good news over the weekend. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Please make sure that you give this a thumbs up on your way in. If you're new, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss a live stream. A lot of people are subscribed, but they're not getting notified when I go live. The best way to do that is just hit the notification. Go to my page and it's right there. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss anything. You won't get spammed. You'll just be notified whenever I go live. Now, let's talk about what's going on. I mean, there were a couple of events over the weekend, most notably the Astroworld concert that took place in Houston that ended in tragedy, death, chaos, destruction, sadness. But there just seems to be something really suspicious about it. Now, I'm not really trying to wade into the waters of conspiracy on this, but it just something just doesn't sit right with me personally. And I'm not the only one who took notice of this. I mean, there were attendees, one in particular, who had like a come to Jesus moment after the concert. And I don't know how many people have seen the video. I'm going to play it for you right now. It's only a minute long. Just be warned, there is some profanity. It's not important to focus on the profanity so much as what he is saying took place at this concert. Check it out.
Like it felt like we was in a concert in hell. You couldn't breathe. You couldn't see. Like just imagine all the people they're gonna find tonight who was in that crowd, who nobody could see, who nobody could hear, who passed out, and everybody was just trampling on top of them the whole fucking concert. Like I'm thinking it's probably gonna be like at least 100 people who dead tonight. Like I kid you not. Like in the VIP section, it was so many bodies laid out. People was getting pulled out who was fainted, and the people were trying, the medics were trying to give them CPR, and they was flipping them over, and like they was literally turning them black and blue. Like I never seen death in my fucking life, bro. Just by me alone, it was probably like 10 fucking people laid out dead. And like once the medics tried to help them, they wasn't responding. They moved to the next person. It was nothing they could do. Like this shit really fucked me up and like really spooked me tonight. Like that was like some demonic shit. Like, and what was so crazy, like people were screaming help, trying to tell Travis Scott. They was like help. The whole crowd was just going like help, help, help. And he just kept going, bro. It was like that shit was scary, bro. It was so demonic, bro.
So there's a lot to unpack with what he just said here. Now, it wasn't that long ago, probably back when I was in college, where I might have attended a concert like this. I don't go to concerts anymore. And here, this is the primary reason why. There's a lot of instability. I know, I've been to concerts before where fights break out, people OD on drugs. The atmosphere just doesn't resonate with my spirit. I'm trying to be more mindful of what I put in my body, what I'm taking in mentally and all of that stuff spiritually. So this isn't for me. This isn't my cup of tea. But it wasn't long ago that I went to concerts like this. And now that so many people are awakening in this world, they're starting to notice that there tends to be like a pattern of events around certain people, certain aspects of culture. You see it permeating all throughout culture. And that's why I think a lot of conspiracy is kind of running wild with this situation in particular. But I mean, if you just look at some of the video and some of the people that attended this concert, this festival, it just makes no sense whatsoever that anybody sane would want to go to something like this. So what you're looking at now is earlier in the day, people running into the concert as soon as they open the doors. Look at people running, disregarding security, right? They're running through the metal detectors. They eventually knock them over. These are people rushing so that they could get to the front of the stage, I assume, for Travis Scott's concert. Now, this is something that you look at something like this, right? And you're like, who does that? Who does that? If you have to ask who does that, it's probably people who lack spiritual discernment, people who idolize celebrities. I mean, people were getting trampled, people hopping over the fence. This should have been the first red flag that something was afoot at this concert. I've never seen anything like this. People rushing to get in. I've seen people move quickly to get in line for something like that. But this feels really different. There's something else going on. And so, the footage of people breaking in, trampling each other, and what later ends up being just a total disregard for human life, as you see here, this footage or this image is somebody who was standing on top of an emergency vehicle, an ambulance, as they tried to get in and help people. Now, there was 300 plus people, I believe, that were injured, including 8 killed, the youngest 10 years old. 10 years old. I mean, if this isn't a wake-up call for people, I don't know what is. I mean, this is, and some people are calling this a demonic sacrifice, and I can't really go completely there. It's not my job to try to interpret it for people, but just if you just take your bias out of it and just look at it objectively, this was not good energy. I mean, you heard the guy that I just played say he felt like there was some demonic spiritual activity going on at this concert. And it makes sense when you think about how there's video, which I just can't play any of it, of people being trampled, people laying there having cardiac arrest, people dying as the concert just raged on. Just total disregard for human life, total disregard for compassion, people being carried over like mosh pit, just carrying them, crowd surfing them out to ambulances and paramedics who waited. And who knows what caused the crowd to rush the stage and cause all this like pressure, people being crushed to death. I mean, it's beyond sad. And, I don't know what to make of it, because here supposedly this Entertainment Tonight trying to make Travis Scott appear as though he is remorseful. They're saying Travis Scott in tears over Astroworld tragedy. I mean, just watch what he says, read his body language, and tell me if you think that he is showing any kind of remorse.
I just want to send out prayers to the ones that was lost. I could just never imagine the severity of the situation.
Travis Scott breaks down in tears. Speaking out for the first time.
I mean, to me, it didn't look like he was in tears. It looked like he was just kind of he had to issue some kind of statement. I'm not saying he's not sorry. I don't know him personally. But I mean, if you look at the kind of music he makes and the kind of symbolism he uses and the type of people who ran in to get into his concert, it doesn't seem like they are in control. They don't have dominion over their minds, their bodies, their souls. They're not making clear decisions, and they're consuming this kind of music. So it makes sense why you would see something so crazy like this happen.
In Houston.
My fans really mean the world to me.
At least 50,000 fans were there to hear rapper Travis Scott. When
were injured. Travis got emotional talking about what happened on his Instagram story.
I just want to send out prayers to the ones that was lost last night. We're actually working right now to identify the families so we can help assist them through this tough time.
What the is that?
At the music festival on Friday night.
So, I mean, I just didn't feel that. I didn't feel like that was really remorseful. I didn't really feel like that was truly apologetic. That doesn't feel like somebody who, because of him, people there to see him, some people died. And they title this, he's in tears. I didn't see tears. It didn't seem like he was crying. It doesn't mean he's not sad. I'm just saying, to me, it didn't feel like that was authentic at all. But back to the symbolism. I know people are going to say, this is a reach. This is a stretch. Tinfoil hat. You're a conspiracy theorist. But, I mean, look at the images of something like this. I mean, you've got this occult kind of demonic, demon-looking imagery. And it's not just Travis Scott. This is a well-known thing. I mean, this has been documented. Madonna, Katy Perry, Marilyn Manson. I mean, this has been well documented over decades in pop culture, in music, where they use symbolism. And so a lot of people are comparing his Astroworld imagery to Christ in Limbo, which was, some art from back in like the 1500s, the story of Christ's descent into limbo to rescue the souls of the righteous who lived before his time and enjoyed a special place in European popular imagination. So where did he draw that from? I mean, this painting here is it's like the vision of hell. It's eternal darkness broken by Christ's dazzling entry is exceptionally vivid. This composition may derive from a lost work of Hieronymus Bosch. I don't know what that means, or somebody's name. But anyway, the symbolism, we've seen it. I mean, look at this image right here. Why? Just ask yourself. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but why? Why do people who make music that degenerates the culture, they don't promote things that are healthy spiritually? They don't promote things that are good for your body. But why do they cover their eyes? Why do they put this circle over their eyes, which appears like they're throwing up a 6? Why does that happen? I'm just curious. If you're thinking outside of the box and you're not calling everything a coincidence, you should at least be curious enough to wonder why they do this, why they're constantly promoting this in their music. And you think about what happened at this concert, where he has often encouraged people to get rowdy at his shows. You see at rock shows and stuff like that too. And now you see the death, people essentially kind of being sacrificed. I mean, how else could you really put that? Including a 10-year-old. And you see it at award shows too. Award shows, Super Bowl halftime shows, album artwork, song titles. And I've noticed over the years that it's just getting darker and darker and darker. They don't promote anything that will enrich your life. Anything as far as like, I don't know, being in a family unit or cleaning your life up, because that stuff doesn't sell, right? It doesn't sell to talk about God, doesn't sell to talk about health or living a good lifestyle. It's all about drugs, pills, sex, prostitution, gangs, trippy, get out of your mind. And it's across all genres. It's not just like hip hop, it's rock music. And a lot of the times, it's not good for the youth. And I look back on that and I say, man, I'm kind of glad that that I removed myself from that situation, because it's not healthy, man. And that I just pray for the people who are there. I hope that this was an awakening for them, a wake-up call. Travis Scott has canceled his upcoming event that he was supposed to do in Vegas, and he's refunding all of the ticket goers, or all the people who purchased tickets for this Astroworld festival in Houston, which, I mean, it was supposed to take place on the 6th. That was supposed to be the second day of it. And that's another thing too. People are trying to connect this to the Kardashians. I mean, what do you say, man? Like, Kris Jenner's 66th birthday was the day before. I don't know. But people connected to the Kardashians, people have long since accused them of being witches. It's like the men that orbit these women end up going off the rocker, going off the deep end. I mean, the most notable one would be Bruce Jenner, who used to be married to Kris Jenner. We see what Bruce Jenner is now. Kanye West kind of went off the deep end. Lamar Odom, and then Travis Scott, of course, not married to, he's dating Kendall Jenner or Caitlyn Jenner, one of those, Kylie Jenner, I think. I forget which one it is. But I don't know, man. I don't know. This is for people to just look into, but ultimately use discernment. This is not good, not spiritually healthy. And we're in a fallen state. This world is fallen, and I'm just grateful that I can use my eyes to discern what's going on and learn from my experiences like this too, and hopefully, protect my son from what this world is trying to do to the youth. We know that they're targeting the youth. Travis Scott, his music is targeting the youth, and so many others. Anyway, moving along. The FBI raided Project Veritas, not just James O'Keefe, but some of his journalists over the weekend. Very interesting that they raid James O'Keefe right as this diary of Ashley Biden comes out, which just tells you that the diary itself is legit, right? Because why else would you raid somebody over a diary? And the person who's in question in this diary just so happens to be occupying the White House. So I mean, you can call this what it is. It's a witch hunt. They're trying to do whatever they can to discourage Project Veritas from forging ahead with their truth bombs and bombshell reports exposing all the corruption from big pharma to big government to big tech. They've exposed it all. Unfortunately, you don't see any arrests. You don't see much of a fallout except for Project Veritas now being raided, investigated by the FBI over this diary, which I was able to stomach like a page of it. There's a page where Ashley Biden, assuming that this is real, this diary, she said that she showered with her father. I mean, that's obviously completely disgusting. But when you look at the way that Joe Biden acts around children on camera, there's photos of it all over the internet. Does it really surprise you that he is inappropriate with his own daughter? I mean, completely disgusting, absolutely horrendous, right? That this is the guy occupying the White House right now. So it doesn't come as a surprise. I mean, once upon a time, not that long ago, he commented on the crossed legs of a 9-year-old girl on video, just casually. Nobody talks about it. They just skate by it. In fact, they'll probably say, if you try to bring it up to anybody, they'll probably say, that was taken out of context. That was some right-wing extremists just taking it out of context, trying to discourage and trying to distract from Biden, who's building back better. I mean, there are people out there, unfortunately, that will completely just bury their head in the sand or pretend like it's not happening or make excuses for this disgusting behavior by the guy occupying the White House. But what I think is, it's almost crazy that Project Veritas wasn't raided sooner. I mean, if you think about all of everything that they've done, exposing election fraud, like I said, exposing big tech, big pharma, they've done it all. Genius, undercover journalists doing their job, actual journalism being persecuted. I mean, it's not just him. They went after Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, anybody that blows the whistle, anybody that's doing real work to bring truth to light, they are going to be targeted and persecuted. So all this really means is Project Veritas is over the target. I feel like they could hopefully prevail in this. I don't know what will come out of this. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to prosecute James O'Keefe? You're going to shake down his business, which this is kind of what this looks like. This looks like what would happen in an authoritarian country. Persecute the journalists that do not do your bidding. Persecute the journalists that expose your corruption. And have big tech and everyone else promote the authoritative content that would paint you in a positive light, or at the very least, not bring up your deep, dark, corrupt, evil secrets. So pray for James O'Keefe and Project Veritas, because I think that they're doing pretty good work right now. So we'll see what comes of that. Now, moving on to Roger Stone. You guys, I talked about this last week, right? I said Roger Stone has announced that if Governor DeSantis doesn't do what he wants him to do, which is perform like a forensic audit of the 2020 election, then Roger Stone was going to run against him for governor. Some people said that might be fake. Mike, have you checked to see? There could be a fake Roger Stone page. Well, I mean, here's his verified Gab account. I don't think Gab would just randomly verify a fake Roger Stone account. They verified that this is really him. So on Roger Stone's actual legitimate Gab account, he said Florida Governor Ron DeSantis must pledge to the people of Florida that if reelected in 2022, he will serve all 4 years of his second term and forego a challenge to President Donald Trump for the 2024 Republican nomination. So there's actually two reasons Roger Stone is going after Ron DeSantis. Number one, he wanted Ron DeSantis to do an election audit or an audit of the 2020 election, and then also not run for president in 2024. Now, there's a couple reasons why this makes absolutely no sense. First and foremost, Ron DeSantis hasn't even announced that he's running for re-election of Florida yet. He hasn't announced that. So why would he announce if he's running for 2024 or not? It doesn't make any sense. Furthermore, Trump hasn't even announced that he's running in 2024. So you're getting ahead of yourself here, Roger. It makes no sense. Now, of course, it's widely speculated that Governor DeSantis will run for re-election. It remains to be seen if he would then run for president in 2024. So I agree with Roger Stone on one sense. Like, I don't want DeSantis running for president. Not yet. 2028, yes. But right now, I think we need another 4 years of Governor DeSantis in Florida. And that's not just my bias talking. I feel like we actually need to set up Florida for the long haul. And who is coming behind DeSantis if he were to just abandon his post and run for president, right? I mean, but it's also widely speculated that Trump, even though he hasn't announced it yet, will run for president in 2024. My question is, why is Roger Stone trying to sow discord and division in the conservative movement? What really pisses me off about this is the fact that he's not just threatening Ron DeSantis, he's threatening to cause instability in Florida because he's saying he will run as a libertarian. So what that would do is effectively split the Republican vote in 2022, and that would help a Democrat. So Roger Stone cares so much about helping Florida. We need to hashtag defend Florida. We need to save our republic. So I'm gonna run as a libertarian against Ron DeSantis. Okay, why would you do that? It's stupid. First of all, if you're running as a libertarian, what you're really saying is you don't care about winning. You're not running for the right reasons. You're running to try to stop somebody who you don't like instead of, you replacing them. Because if he thought that he had a legitimate shot to be the governor of Florida, which I know he cannot think that. It's impossible. Roger Stone actually thinks he has a real chance to be the governor of the state. But if he did actually think that, he would primary DeSantis, run as a Republican against a Democrat, not run as a third-party candidate to split the vote. So why would it make any sense for him to want to do that, even threaten to do that? Now, he wanted DeSantis, like I said, to audit the 2020 election. Well, DeSantis has established, or he talked about establishing an election police force to reinforce our elections here. I mean, we ran a pretty good election. I'm sure there was some fraud in the 2020 election, no doubt, in all states. I agree. All states should be audited. But he has done his part as far as try to secure Florida's elections. Right? You're gonna need to show an ID to vote. He did. We passed election reform in the state of Florida. And it's like, what are you trying to suggest here? Is Ron DeSantis a deep state operative? I mean, what are we doing here, Roger Stone? You're not making any sense. You're sounding really delusional. And again, Trump has not announced he's running in 2024. DeSantis hasn't announced he's running in 2022. So you're going to just demand that he says he's not going to run in 2024. For what? I'm wondering what's really going on here. What is Roger Stone's angle? I mean, he's even throwing ad hominem attacks at Ron DeSantis. It seems there's something going on there. Something shady, something I don't trust. We'll see what comes of this, but I'll be damned if I'm going to let this guy, and I'll do my part. I will not let this guy just screw up what we have done in Florida to protect this state. I mean, people are moving here for a reason. There's a reason why the left hates Ron DeSantis. There's a reason why he's getting full on attacked. So the people who actually want to destroy the country are already fearful of Ron DeSantis, which is why nobody wants to run against him. Democrats. According to a new Politico report, Democrat Governors Association won't spend their dollars on defeating DeSantis for governor. So what does that tell you? They fear that he will not lose. There's no way they can take him on. So they want to be conservative with their campaign donations. Right? So the only thing that could potentially screw up a re-election of Ron DeSantis in Florida is Roger Stone shenanigans. And the other thing I clicked over here is DeSantis is working to stop illegal aliens from being shipped to Florida. So you see, they're bringing in these illegal aliens, strategically relocating them. They flew in like 70 flights of migrants to Jacksonville, one of which killed some guy in the woods. He pretended to be underage. He got flown to Florida, killed a Florida resident. You've heard hundreds, if not thousands, of stories of illegal aliens who are not supposed to be here killing American citizens. And Governor DeSantis is going on the offense instead of being reactionary to try to figure this out. So there's an ongoing investigation to see who's coordinating these flights, who's flying them in, why they're doing it in the dead of night, which we kind of know why. But there's a strategic effort to relocate people crossing the border illegally to the state of Florida. Why? It's not going to help them in the election. In my opinion, I don't think it helps because you need an ID to vote in Florida. Doesn't mean that people still won't vote. Doesn't mean there won't be funny business. They're going to try to cheat. So if you ask me, all of the efforts going towards, bringing people into the state and having all these propaganda hit pieces, 60 Minutes and mainstream media, corporate media attacks on Ron DeSantis means he's a strong candidate for re-election. And if he does run in 2024, hopefully that's not the case. I mean, hopefully it's Trump, but if it's not, I guess if it has to be DeSantis, it is what it is. You could do a hell of a lot worse than Ron DeSantis running for president in 2024. Just saying. So Roger Stone, he must be getting some of that Hunter Biden stash. I don't know what's going on with him, but that doesn't make any sense. Moving along. Speaking of rhinos, Congress passed Biden's destructive $1.2 trillion infrastructure spending package with the help of 13 Republican scumbags. So unlike Ron DeSantis, who is an American patriot, people that know what's going on in the country can see that, you've got rhino Republicans, which I think is a really effective strategy for people like Roger Stone to focus on. Let's try to clean up what we actually have control over, which is these Republicans. I'm only talking about this because you may know some of these Republicans. I just want to read the list of the 13 Republicans that helped deliver this win for Biden and the Build Back Better squad. So you got John Katko, I don't know, John Katko from New York, 24th Congressional District. You got Don Bacon from the 2nd Congressional District of New Mexico. I don't know. Jeff Van Drew, Republican from Nevada. You got Don Young from Arkansas. Fred Upton from Michigan. Adam Kinzinger, surprise, surprise, from Illinois. Anthony Gonzalez, another surprise, from Ohio. Tom Reed from New York. Chris Smith from Nevada. Andrew Gabarino from New York. Nicole Maliotakis from New York. Brian Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, and David McKinley from West Virginia. So super blue state rhino Republicans, but rhinos nonetheless, helped to deliver Biden this victory. So if this is your Republican rep, take note of it and maybe find somebody who can replace them. It's just good to know for people to know what your representative is doing. And they just helped deliver this destructive Build Back Better agenda. Great. Wonderful. Moving along. Ted Cruz called Big Bird's COVID-19 vaccine propaganda. I shared the video over the weekend where Sesame Street characters are promoting medical misinformation, trying to indoctrinate kids and into the cult of big pharmaceutical vaccine injections. And so Ted Cruz, who targeted Big Bird, he's on the right track here. But I mean, if he was really trying to be effective at targeting this and calling it out and exposing it for what it is, he targeted the Big Bird tweet where Big Bird said that, yeah, I got COVID. I got my COVID vaccine. So Ted Cruz is getting dragged for calling this out. But in reality, he should have responded to the video in which the Sesame Street characters tried to make it like healthy is synonymous with vaccines, with big pharmaceutical COVID vaccines. That's what makes you healthy. Now, I can't go into detail about, certain aspects of health, because that would be medical misinformation, right? According to the YouTube algorithms and the overlords. So I got to kind of tread lightly, but you get where I'm going with this, right? Health is not synonymous with this big pharma product, even though they're trying to tell you that's the only way you can be healthy. That equals health. Nothing else on earth equals health. It's just Pfizer and Moderna. That's what makes you healthy. So if Ted Cruz wanted to call something out, that would have been a good one. But still, good job. Good job. I mean, Sesame Street has been doing this for a while. I mean, you got this from the 1970s, Big Bird promoting vaccines. I didn't know that this was a thing, but Sesame Street, they're not new to this apparently.
Hi, Balloon. I like you. Someday I'm going to name you George. Oh, hi, Mr. Snuffleupagus. I didn't see you coming.
Oh, hello, bird.
How do you like my nice new balloon? Isn't it pretty?
Oh, that's wonderful. Where did you get it?
Oh, well, the doctor gave it to me when I got my vaccination for measles at the clinic at the store.
Oh, golly,
nice?
I had my vaccination for measles last week, so I don't need another vaccination. But I wonder if they'd give me a balloon anyway.
Well, yeah, I bet they would. Sure, why don't you go ask them?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, so back in the 70s even, they were using Sesame Street characters to, and of course, the political climate was nowhere near what it is now. Of course, they reference measles there, which I'm not an anti-vaxxer. That was probably a good idea to vaccinate against measles and polio, of course, right? But now they're promoting it as this is healthy. You need it to be healthy. It's not about keeping you safe. It's about health. It's a completely different time back then than now. But yes, Sesame Street has been doing this for decades. Of course, they've gotten significantly worse now, promoting LGBT, promoting racial division, wanting kids to see skin color, etc., etc. Times sure have changed. My kid probably won't be watching any Sesame Street. It's sad. It's sad, but that's where we are. So, yeah. Moving on to medical misinformation. Yeah, before I forget, if we're going to end medical misinformation, right, we should probably start with banning this statement from the president. Why is this statement still on the internet?
The various shots that people are getting now cover that. You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations. Yeah.
That is 100% medical misinformation. And yet the guy who occupies the White House uttered this. No fact checkers intervened. No Facebook demonetization. Nobody removed it from the internet. It's still on there. Why are people okay with him pushing this blatant lie? Anybody who thinks that you cannot catch COVID while being vaccinated, that if you're vaccinated, you can't catch it, you can't spread it, you won't get severely sick, and you won't die from it. If you are pushing that, you are a liar. It is simply not true. But you have so many people who just blindly believe this. I think it's dangerous medical misinformation for people to think, well, I got the injection, so that means I could just live carelessly and recklessly, right? It's these dangerous anti-vaxxers like Aaron Rodgers. You have people out there that actually think that Aaron Rodgers caught COVID because he wasn't vaccinated. That's why they think he caught it. And of course, they're pissed off, super big mad that he recovered without being vaccinated. You're only allowed to recover from COVID if you've been vaccinated. Otherwise, they would want you to die. They would rather you die as an unvaccinated person who catches COVID so they can say, aha, I told you so, rather than have you recover and have that be a success story. Like, oh, let's look into that. Let's research that. They would rather that you die so they can say, see, that's what you get. Really sick, really cult-like behavior, but that's where people are. And that's why CNN's running headlines like this. People vaccinated against COVID-19 less likely to die from any cause. Really, any cause? How does that make sense? So rollover accidents, cancer, a bullet to the brain, other viruses, it's that much of a miracle drug that you just won't die from anything? I'm willing to bet that this is more medical misinformation that won't be banned from the internet. In fact, they might target me, YouTube might, for even daring to question it, for even daring to call this out. This dangerous medical misinformation that they continue to traffic in and lie to people about, right? People who got 2 doses of Pfizer vaccines were 34% is likely to die from non-COVID vaccines or coronavirus causes in the following months as unvaccinated people. So they're saying that the unvaccinated are the ones that are really dying out here. It's not, they're less healthy. That's what they're saying in this article right here. I should have highlighted the sentence in here where they say that vaccinated people tend to be healthier than unvaccinated people, even though Aaron Rodgers and Joe Rogan and Tim Pool and many others have just recovered from this virus without the big pharmaceutical product. Are you guys sick of this yet? Are you tired of it? I sure am. I'm done talking about it for the day. It's just, I feel like I'm just beating the same drum, but every day that they lie, I have to try to say something to combat that lie. And it is a lie to think that getting this injection will keep you from getting sick, dying, spreading it, catching it, etc. It's just simply not true. And it just boggles the mind that people haven't awakened to this point. Aaron Rodgers, his interview that he did on the Pat McAfee show last week, he said in that interview that he spent most of his time around other teammates and coaches and staff, and they were all vaccinated. So he said that if he caught it, he must have caught it from one of them. Obviously, we know that fully vaccinated people have missed games. So, I mean, you know, make of that what you will. Right-wing medical misinformation. That's what they are continuing to promote. And I think that I've covered pretty much everything as far as that goes. I do have some other like topics, random things that I had saved that I could pull up here. Give me a second. Here's an interesting one. Gavin Newsom cancels all scheduled appearances. Hasn't been seen in public since getting his COVID booster shot on October 27th. Very interesting. Maybe he's just on vacation. I don't know. Don't know what to make of that. Here's something crazy. Black trees matter. Kamala Harris attacks NASA or asks NASA if it can track trees by race for environmental justice. Yeah. That's how crazy things are. The priorities of these people, man. Environmental racism. Here's the clip of her asking if we can track trees based on race.
Climate adaptation strategies.
Can you measure trees? Part of that data that you're referring to, and it's in EJ, it's environmental justice, but you can also track by race. There are averages in terms of the number of trees in the neighborhood where people live.
That is just some hard-hitting investigating there that she's wanting done. Can we track the trees in areas based on the color of skin of the people living in those areas? Because that's super duper important to stop environmental racism. Wow. Nothing's impossible in this clown world, you guys. George Floyd's nephew makes video threatening jurors if they do not convict Kyle Rittenhouse. Very interesting.
I ain't even gonna name the people that I know that's up in the Kenosha trial. But there's cameras in there. It's definitely cameras up in there, and there's definitely people taking pictures of the juries and everything like that. We know what's going on. So we need the same results, man. We need the same results. Justice for Dante Wright, justice for also.
Justice means to this guy is convicting innocent people in the court of law because it serves a greater purpose for you. So even though the evidence has come out, convict Kyle Rittenhouse anyway, even though the evidence shows that there is no case against him being a white supremacist murderer or even a white supremacist to begin with. In fact, he was acting in self-defense, and that's well documented. So, you know, this is very problematic. Threatening the jurors of this trial. Will there be an investigation into him? Well, no, of course not, because, you know, that would be racist. You're not allowed to say anything about him. His skin is black. You're not allowed to criticize somebody if their skin is black, unless, of course, they're Republican. Then they're white supremacists. Then they're just completely insane, right? That's where we are. So George Floyd's nephew is calling for jurors to be spied on, stalked, threatened, pressured to convict Kyle Rittenhouse. This seems like tampering. I don't know. I'm sure this will be followed up by Al Sharpton, by Maxine Waters. I mean, they flew out to Minneapolis to pressure the jury to convict Derek Chauvin. Remember, that's the thing that happened. So something to keep an eye out on in Kenosha. We'll see where that goes. But again, you know, they don't want you criticizing black people unless, of course, they are Republican. They are still upset. MSNBC is, and CNN. They are super upset that Republicans swept Virginia. We're almost at a week now since that took place. And just now, finally, they're starting to acknowledge that Winsome Sears is the first black woman elected to statewide office in Virginia. And so their everything is white supremacist narrative is falling apart. But now they're only, of course, no shocker here, just tripling down on that narrative. Listen to this.
The Friday before the November 2 elections, I gave a blunt assessment of what a victory by Republican Glenn Youngkin in the Virginia governor's race would mean for Democrats nationwide. It would show that fear and anger win the day. The fact that we're having a conversation about critical race theory that is not taught in public schools in Virginia, it just goes to show how Republicans have decided that picking at white grievance and, you know, tap dancing with white supremacy is their way back into power. And if Glenn Youngkin wins, the Democrats should be afraid because fear works. And, you know, I like to say, you know, whiteness is a hell of a drug. And going into the midterm elections, we will see just how successful it can be. Whiteness is a hell of a drug. Fear worked. And Youngkin won in a state President Biden won just last year by 10 points. The Wall Street Journal editorial board didn't like my analysis one bit and took great delight in crowing about Republican victories in Virginia. So what did all these racist Virginia voters do Tuesday night? In addition to electing Mr. Youngkin as governor, they elected Winsome Sears as lieutenant governor. She will be the first African-American woman to be elected statewide in Virginia history, writes the Wall Street Journal. Nice try. But invoking the name of Lieutenant Governor-elect Winsome Sears doesn't prove my assertion wrong about the role of race in the Virginia governor's election. Not in the least. Look, voting for someone black does not grant absolution from racism or being motivated by the racist dog whistles or nowadays bullhorns that politicians use to play on racial fears for political gain. And let's be clear. Having some of your best friends be black or family members be black or dating or being married to someone black or liking black music and culture is no pass either. Also, when you hear us talking about granting folks black cards, always remember it's a joke. Blackness isn't transferable, but I digress.
Oh, blackness isn't transferable. Okay, gotcha. That's why people like Rachel Dolezal pretended to be black. She identifies as transracial. Gotcha. So the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Just because there's no evidence of racism right now in this election in Virginia, that doesn't mean it wasn't racially motivated. Just because America twice elected a black dude to be the president doesn't mean that America's not racist. In fact, it was probably motivated by white supremacy. They wanted a black president because it upholds the system of white supremacy. That's where they are. This is so I'm really just highlighting this because it's hilarious to watch them do every mental gymnastic available to their brain to scapegoat their loss, their embarrassing loss in Virginia. You guys ran horrible candidates. You ran a horrible campaign, and you, as you often do, project. You used fear. You tried to tug at the heartstrings of Virginians by injecting race. You guys promoted the lie that white nationalism is on the rise, and it's so on the rise that we're going to prove it to you by staging it. We can't find anybody, so we'll just stage it. And we'll implant a black eye because we're so committed to diversity. It's them that do this. It's them that brag about having a black person in office. It's them. Republicans only highlighted a black woman winning because it wasn't about her race. They voted for her because she was the best person. The fact that she's black is a bonus. Like, hey, cool, good. But why they really elected her is because she was the best person for the job, not to prove that they're not racist. Who cares about that? Who cares about trying to prove to people that call you racist for no reason at all that you're not racist? But that's what they continue to say, is they try to make excuses for why they suck and why they lose elections, as they try to teach critical race theory, as they're telling you that race is the only thing that matters. So good job, MSNBC. Keep this up. I have a feeling that this is going to backfire tremendously come 2022. Can't wait to see it. Speaking of people who don't want to be involved in race and politics, NASCAR apparently denounced Let's Go Brandon, saying it wants to stay out of politics now. Isn't that funny?
They freaked out from...
Isn't that funny how now NASCAR is pretending they don't want to be involved in politics after they had a Black Lives Matter car, after they banned the Confederate flag? Now, all of a sudden, Let's Go Brandon, they're trying to denounce and distance themselves from it. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to lose money? Are you going to ban people from holding up banners? Are you going to ban people at NASCAR events from chanting Let's Go Brandon? How's that going to work out for your bottom line? And by even making this statement, you're engaging in politics by saying we're going to distance ourselves from this. So you make your voice known, that you make your stance known, that you are going to distance from this and say you're staying out of politics, but you didn't do that last year when you were pressured to adopt the BLM slogan, the battle cry. They say the Let's Go Brandon phenomenon is a Republican battle cry. It's not that people who even voted for Joe Biden are joining in on this, because you remember, this started at college football stadiums. Those are blue areas. That's not a bunch of Republicans at these football games chanting the other thing, not Let's Go Brandon. But yet now it's evolved apparently into this Republican code, this battle cry, as they continue to try to make sense of what's happening to them. It is glorious. You love to see it. All right, that's everything. That is everything. So I will get to a few comments and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, you guys. Appreciate everybody for being here today. God bless you. Make sure that you give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, that's the best way to help this channel grow. Give it a thumbs up. Share it on social media. If you're new, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Is there anything else that I have not covered? I really wanted to focus kind of on what took place over the weekend. I know that news is always breaking. There's always new stuff happening today even. But I guess I can talk briefly about one last thing, I guess. Over the weekend, Terry Bradshaw decided to go off on Aaron Rodgers. So let's hear his delusion.
I'd give Aaron Rodgers some advice. It would have been nice if he'd have just come to the Naval Academy and learned how to be honest. Yeah. Learn not to lie, because that's what you did, Aaron. You lied to everyone. I understand, immunized. What you were doing was taking stuff that would keep you from getting COVID-19. You got COVID-19. Ivermectin is a cattle dewormer. Sorry, folks, that's what it is. We are a divided nation politically. We're a divided nation on the COVID-19, whether or not to take the vaccine. And unfortunately, we've got players that pretty much think only about themselves, and I'm extremely disappointed in the actions of Aaron Rodgers.
Good job, Terry Bradshaw, you little propagandist, big pharma propagandist. He might as well go on CNN promoting the idea that Aaron Rodgers' doctor and other people whose doctor prescribed him this medication is somehow dumb. You should get your medical advice from Terry Bradshaw and Don Lemon and people that continue to traffic in this lie. You know, in the medical misinformation, they continue to tell you that if you are vaccinated, you're not getting sick. Blows my mind that people are buying this up just wholesale, hook, line, and sinker, connecting it to health. It's synonymous with health. Very interesting how that works. But like I said, they're upset. You're only allowed to recover from COVID if you've been vaccinated. If you did the kitchen sink, we'll just call it that, then you're an evil person. Like, they don't like you. They would rather you die so they could say, aha, see, if only he had taken that Pfizer injection, he would be fine. Somebody said Terry Bradshaw got hit in the head too many times. You're not wrong about that. Did you know Biden is trying to shut down another pipeline from Michigan and gas prices will go up? Yes, I heard about that. Even Gretchen Whitmer has a problem with it. Canada doesn't like it. Gretchen Whitmer doesn't like it. They're connecting it to the GOP. I saw some headlines. The GOP critical of Biden as he attempts to potentially shut down another pipeline. Right. Only the GOP is pissed off about this. If that's the case, what does that say about Democrats? If only Republicans are noticing that it's a bad idea to make us less energy independent and begging OPEC to increase their oil production. Not putting sanctions on Russia, just letting Russia flourish with their pipelines. They're laughing at you. They're laughing at you. They're saying, hey, you just need to expect less. This is the way things are. Expect less from your empty store shelves. Lower your expectations. Don't worry about the gas prices. We're not doing anything about it. It's going to cost more to heat your homes this winter. Just deal with it. But yes, I did hear that he's trying to kill another pipeline project. Yes. Marjorie Taylor Greene is being turned away from shedding light on the condition of January 6th detainees. Yeah, political prisoners being held in deplorable conditions. Only in authoritarian countries do you see this. But remember, that orange dictator was the one who was just really fascist and evil. As Biden's DOJ is cracking down on dissent left and right, pressuring social media to ban people, threatening journalists and raiding journalists. I mean, imagine if Trump was doing all this. All he did was stand in front of the media and just take the arrows every day. He did press conferences daily. He called on all kinds of journalists. And you know what he did? He hit back. They were pearl clutching so hard when Jim Acosta was banned from the White House. Oh my gosh, Jim Acosta, he is an assault on liberty. He's assault on the First Amendment and freedom of press. Biden is over there with a list of people he's allowed to call on. His handlers won't let him talk to certain people. Remember, after the Afghanistan fallout, he didn't take questions at all about it. So you're just seeing a full-scale crackdown on dissent. And people being detained and against their will, people locked up for an insurrection, even though they're not charged with an insurrection, boggles the mind. Winsome Sears won in Virginia because she was the best candidate. Also a retired Marine, a woman that's Jamaican, a black woman, and a patriot who was for the First and Second Amendment, protecting kids. Right. That's why Virginians voted for her. Not the sick way that the media thinks that they voted for her. let's do it to prove how not racist we are. No, that's what the left does. That's why you want to promote people based on race. It's projection. Race is central to their campaign strategy. They have to run on race. In other news, there was a Let's Go Brandon chant at the UFC this weekend. Yep, I heard about that. It's a viral sensation. There's nothing they can do about it except call it right wing. How do you call it right wing? You don't know the political affiliation of the people chanting this. It's all just speculation and trying to do damage control. Oh, that Let's Go Brandon chant you guys are hearing? This is what they say to their audience. That's just GOP. That's right wingers. You don't know that. Explain why college campuses, college football stadiums are chanting something worse than that. You notice how they respond to Let's Go Brandon, but not the F Joe Biden. Because those videos, you can find them online. And what this does is people who watch the likes of MSNBC, CNN, they read the New York Times, the Washington Post, et cetera, they know that these videos exist. They know that people are chanting F Joe Biden. They see the videos of people lying in the streets as Biden comes in, not his supporters. They see all of that. And then they turn on the news. They see the news isn't talking about it, but I know it's happening. They're purposely trying to ignore it. Very interesting. I think people are recognizing that slowly but surely. The ones that want to, the ones that are seeking to discern truth, maybe those that are still misled, they actually think that they're getting real, accurate, honest, unbiased, non-propagandist information from legacy media. It's hard to believe there are people still out there like that, but there are. Trust me, I know some of them. They think that it's accurate information and that they wouldn't be lied to and that there's no agenda or hidden motive to keep their attention focused on one aspect of what's happening in society versus another. But they're on social media and they can see the same thing that you and I can see. They're starting to wake up slowly but surely. Brandon smashes the lies and the fifth. Smashes the lies in the fifth? I don't know. Oh, filth. Yes. I saw a video of a huge crowd in Germany chanting Let's Go Brandon. Probably right wingers, probably the GOP's Germany extension. Anything they don't like, they can call it GOP. Right wing, conspiracy theorists, Trumpers. Anything to discourage more people from joining in. You don't want to be associated with right wingers, do you? You don't want to be a GOP supporter, do you? Certainly not. The POWs of January 6th have had no due process. The communists are trying to brainwash them, but they're not giving in. I mean, it's like Guantanamo Bay, right? I mean, it's at the very least, it's like re-education camp. It's a gulag. It's a gulag for wrong thinkers. And we know of at least one person who's been transferred out of there. Some people are still in there. Many people are still in there, but they've at least transferred one person out. Like a toddler, if they can't have America in power, no one can. Biden admin detaining migrants outdoors under Texas border bridge again in winter weather. I haven't heard about that yet, but this is all about pressure and intimidation from the opposing political party that just happens to be in the White House and have the Senate and House. It's unconstitutional. I support no party except for the ones I have in the backyard. That's a good party to support. Yeah, it's probably smart not to be loyal to even the Republican Party. Don't be loyal to any party, because the Republican Party, like I said, they're for the most part in the slow lane towards totalitarianism. The left is in the fast lane. So yeah. When Biden said garbage, was he talking about the 400K checks or the immigrants? Ooh. Youch. Yeah, he tries to deny that he wants to pay, but then he turns around and says you should be compensated. He gets really angry when he finally got pressed harder by Peter Ducey. He finally got pressed harder on that. He's like, yes, they should be paid, even though they came here illegally. Their answer to everything is just print more money, but also we should tax the wealthy. We need to raise taxes. We need to spy on bank accounts to make sure people are paying their fair share. Why do people need to pay their fair share if you're just printing more money? Your answer is to just raise the debt ceiling, end the filibuster, and print more money, and that's going to lead to wealth. We're going to squash income inequality, even though places where Democrats have a supermajority, permanent power grab, in places like California, you only see poverty rise. How does the state with the highest taxes in America have so much poverty? Where is that money going? I'm just curious. Where's the money going? They collect all these taxes. You don't see poverty ended anywhere. It's so foolish to believe that what we need is we just need them to control society, and they need to organize society. You can get people on the left to admit that government can't be trusted, but then they turn around in the very next breath and their solutions involve government intervention. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. We're at 1 hour, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, but I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Please make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you're new, hit the bell notification. God bless you all. Shout out to the moderators and the donators and the people that send their thoughts and prayers. We'll catch you guys in the next stream.